Well, children, where there's so much racket, there must be something out of kilter. I think that twixt the Negroes of the South and the women of the North all are talking about rights. The white man will be in a fix pretty soon. But what's all this here talking about? That man over there say that women needs to be helped in the carriages and lifted over ditches and to have the best place everywhere. Well, nobody ever helps me in the carriages or over mud puddles or gives me any best place. And aren't I a woman?
Aren't I a woman? Aren't I a woman? Aren't I a woman? Aren't I a woman? Aren't I a woman? Aren't I a woman? Aren't I a woman? Aren't I a woman? Aren't I a woman? A woman. 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 Woman.
Hey y'all! Welcome to our heavenly home. I can't tell you how pleased we are that you came by for a visit.
There's a lot of people who wanted to be here.
But we ain't got a lot of time, so y'all gonna have to come back now, you hear?
So I know you probably wonder what we do up here. Well,
We rock y'all.
and times certainly have changed, and in some ways not so much. But it's been quite exciting.
Watching y'all from up here.
Black Lives Matter?
It's about time.
Women's March?
Oh, and all that hoopla about the Confederate statues being taken down.
Well, lo and behold, that's when we first heard about the J. Marion Sims trouble and how they was trying to take down all 3 of his statues.
3?
That man got 3 statues in his honor as the father of gynecology and us slave women.
So, when this came up, all 3 of us pulled straws.
And I pulled the short straw, so I guess I'll be going first. Before I begin, I must warn you, this topic is of a delicate and sensitive matter. It is not for the weak of stomach. See, I was one of them slave women J. Marion Sims operate on. I first meet Dr. Sims in the year 1845 in Montgomery, Alabama. I was 17, pregnant, had been in labor for 3 days. I knew from the looks of the women that something was wrong. Master Westcott been coming to me since I was 13.
Oh, Lord.
But he the one called for Dr. Henry, and then Dr. Henry the one called for Dr. Sims because he's younger and knew more of the tools of the trade. Dr. Sims came and he delivered my baby with forceps. I was so happy to see my baby girl. But I was weak and I didn't feel quite right.
That's what happens when you have a baby.
So I slept. And the women worked for me in the fields. See, a slave is here to work. Pregnant or not pregnant, but I slept. And when I wake up, the women were staring at me. I asked if baby girl was okay, they say yes.
Why didn't you go to the outhouse?
I didn't need to go. But then I smelled something. And I said, what's were too much for my body. Down there. And the walls ripped where you pee and poo. Dr. Collins. Fistula. Sis came. He said he couldn't do nothing for me. And then I was never going to be able to work or have babies again. Then he left. And I got put in a barn. Useless. I was young and I had to be there for Master Westcott. What's going to happen to me now?
What's going to happen to her now?
Ain't I a woman? I'm plowed and reaped and husked and chopped and mowed.
Plowed and reaped and husked and chopped and mowed. And ain't she a woman? My grandmother, Cora, was brought here from Africa. She was bought by the Smith family in Clinton, Georgia. One night, Mr. Smith came to Cora, and not long after, she had my mama, Maria. Now, my grandmother loved Maria, and she was happy that she was able to keep her and watch her grow up. The only son, James Cole Smith, took over the plantation and married Elizabeth Betsy Cleveland. Elizabeth had her firstborn and only girl in 1819, Eliza, and 4 boys came after. Well, I guess Betsy was a little too busy raising the children, leaving James Cole to wander on down to the slave quarters to see Maria. All my grandmother could do was shake her head, because she knew how that was going to turn out. She was right. I was born in 1826. My grandmother used to say,
If I ain't deliver you myself, I could have swore you was a white baby.
when I was young, I used to follow my mama around while she worked. I would play in the big house with Eliza and some of her friends. Oh, and sometimes when Miss Elizabeth wasn't home, shh. But when I was 11, things, they started changing. I was working in the fields now. Eliza was getting married and she'd be leaving soon. One day when I was working with my mama, she told me to go see my grandma. When I got there, I found her putting stuff in a bag.
I gotta get you ready.
Where are we going?
You be going in the early evening.
When am I coming home?
Get washed up!
Just as I was about to, Mama came in. Mama, what's wrong?
She got to go.
No. Grandma tried to comfort her, but she could not. Mama asked about Nesta.
He away, not gonna be back for a couple days. Ain't no sense in carrying on.
Mama, Grandma and I cried as we walked to the carriage. Mama begged Elizabeth to take something else, but Elizabeth had already made up her mind. She walked in the house, kissed Eliza, closed the door.
Look at me. Look at my arm. I have plowed and planted and gathered into barns and no man can hurt me. At 8, I, a woman.
I am born, young and bold, in numbers too late to Here we go, and I know too much to go back and tell.
Yes. Yes, you are. And as for me, I was born in 1924 in a West Indian neighborhood in Brooklyn, New York. My parents met in Barbados and married in the United States. Their dream was to buy a house and send their children to college. Now, in order to do that, my mother left my sisters and I at our grandmother's farm in Barbados. We fell in love with island living, but I fell in love with learning. And 6 years later, we returned to Brooklyn, a culture shock to say the least. It was cold and a totally different existence than we were used to. But I still look forward to going to school, where I excelled. And after getting several scholarships, I attended Brooklyn College to study in the only field available to black women in the 1940s, teaching. And one day, a blind political science professor of mine challenged me.
You ought to go into politics.
Oh, Profi, you forget two things. I'm black and I'm a woman.
You really have deep feelings about that, haven't you?
That conversation stuck in my mind for years. And after graduating with my master's from Columbia University, I taught at urban settlement houses. I volunteered at political groups, hoping to better the black plight. I was still teaching, but I was intrigued by politics. And in 1964, a seat in the state assembly opened, and I wanted it. And felt with all the volunteering I've done over the past 20 years, I deserve it. But times were very different than they are now. Women were supposed to be in the house, taking care of husband, home, and children. It was a rare thing to see a woman running for office, especially a black woman. And while campaigning, I would hear,
You ought to be out home, not out here.
Hey, young woman, what are you doing out in this cold? Did you make your husband's breakfast this morning?
Did you clean your house? What you doing running for office, sweetheart? Don't you know that's a man's job? Ain't she a woman?
yes, I am. Now, I could have responded in a less than ladylike fashion, but I calmly told them that I had been serving the community for a number of years now and would like an opportunity to serve on a higher level in elected office. It was logic that no one could fight.
Now, ain't she a woman?
She sure is. I didn't know what was going to happen to me now that I was useless as both a slave and a woman. About a week after Sim said he couldn't fix me, Betsy, another slave, went to see Sims. She had the same trouble I had. He sent her home, said he couldn't fix her. Lucy Master knew Sims very well, and he sent her to his house. Lucy had the same trouble Betsy and I had. Sims put her up in his slave quarters, said she had to go home the next day. He couldn't fix her knee. Early that next morning, he got word that a white woman had fallen off a horse and was in a whole lot of hurt. He started working on her. Saw her pelvis was out of order. Had to get on her knees and elbows and move it back. fix a white woman, surely I can fix a female slave. See? Female slaves, we got to work both in the field and in the bed for master. And if you can't do both, then what good is you? The only good thing was
Master stopped coming to her quarters, if you know what I mean.
but the smell was so bad I could barely stand to be with me. And ain't I a woman? So now Sims is looking for female slaves. He even sent a letter to Master Westcott to say,
If you'll give me an ARCA for treatment, I agree not to perform any operation or procedure that would endanger her life.
Master Westcott said yes. Next thing I know, I'm getting sent to the doctor to be fixed. I don't really know what any of this means, but I'm glad I'm gonna feel better. But I'm sad I gotta leave my baby girl and I don't know when I'm gonna be back. I get to Sam's hospital and it's this room with 16 beds, 12 for patients and 4 for staff. I meet Bessie and Lissy there. Thank you. We get beds near one another and turn out we the only 3 girls Sims talk about in his book. It's the first time I'm not afraid. Because I know I'm not alone. Later that night, all the beds was full up. Sim said he gonna work on Lucy first tomorrow. We was excited and scared all at the same time. Couldn't even have sleep. Next morning, the whole hospital's full up. Sims is so sure of himself. He invite 10 doctors from all around the county to watch this operation that will change lives and go down in the history books for sure. He called for Lucy. We watch her go. Not sure what's gonna happen. Lucy says she walked in the operating room and there's a table in the middle. Sims is sitting in a chair. And there's a whole lot of white men standing around the table looking at her. Get on the table. Lean forward. Put your forearms on the table. She did. And the robe was pushed up, showing all her body to everyone. She said her legs was pushed apart. And a metal something stuck her blood kind of hard. He said the metal thing go to a spot. And then Sims has all the doctors look. Ooh. Ah. I've never seen anything like it. You can actually see the fistula. Sims say he ain't know nothing about anesthesia. So none of this news. He begins with, I'm gonna make a small incision right here. Lucy started crying. That made us stop. We look at the door, because we know that's where we going next. No one spoke after that. It seemed like a lifetime, but after about an hour, Lucy was brought back to the In Sim's mind, the operation was a success. We just had to wait and see.
I got a lot of slaves who are afflicted with the ailment, so there'll be no shortage of willing and able bodies for me to perfect my technique.
But 5 days later, Lucy got so sick, Sims had to go back in and take out a sponge that he used to soak up the leaks. It was touch and go. Lucy started to heal, but she wasn't fixed. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home.
I sat there with that bag in my hand, and I cried the whole way. Eliza kept trying to talk about how much fun we was gonna have decorating the house, but all I could do was cry. Because I didn't know when I was gonna see my mama and grandma again. But things wasn't so bad. I learned that Eliza wasn't like her mama at all. She let me eat at the kitchen table. She let me braid her hair. And every now and then she'd even let me bathe in the clawfoot tub. But no matter how good she was to me, I was still a slave. Four years had gone by, and Eliza was pregnant with her first child, and she was on bed rest. She sent me to the cabinet maker to see if he could come to the house. When I got there, he couldn't leave right then, so he called for William. And Lord have mercy, I saw the most handsome young man of 16 coming toward us. Oh, the cabinet maker told William to follow me home to see what Miss Eliza wants. I got to walk home with William, and I let him know my name. Oh, I would be lying to you if I said I wasn't a little bit smitten with William. I mean, he was just, so dark-skinned and handsome. Oh, I said that already, didn't I? With the nicest eyes. After the baby's crib was built, William and I got closer. And 4 years later, we were married and living in my quarters. Now, William was a working man, and his job was to take care of his family, me. We would save money by doing jobs for folks. I would wash, iron, and sew, and William would build things.
It's time to start a family.
I could never have a child in slavery. I was taken from my mama, and I could never do that to my child.
Well, then we must find a way to free them. There's got to be a way.
That was the bravest thing I'd ever heard. We would wake up early the next morning, before dawn, to try to figure out a way. We knew there was people out there who could help us. We just didn't know who they was. 2 years had gone by, and in the early fall, William was working in the shop when my father, Master Smith, came in. Well, William came home that night all excited.
I saw your father.
And then he got quiet. Well, what's wrong?
A slave master can take a slave anywhere he wants. No questions asked.
And?
I could never be a slave owner, but you can.
I'm a woman.
Yes, and you never told me how much you look like your father. You're practically the same skin color, except you're sun-kissed.
An idea was taking shape in William's mind. I would dress as a white man and take William as my slave. We would escape to freedom to Philadelphia. We would leave during Christmas time. This is the only time of year that travel passes were given to slaves. This idea, it was crazy, but it could work. No one would be wise until it was too late. I looked over Jordan, and what did I see? Coming for to carry me home. A band of angels watching over me, coming for to carry me home.
1964 was the first big year for black candidates. And I was one of them. My colleagues wanted me to go along to get along, but I wasn't comfortable with that, which was upsetting to some. I vote the way I do because it's right, not because of what the gang is doing. Now, during the 4 years I was in Albany, I learned how politics is run in this country. And I wanted to do more. And I decided I was prepared to run for Congress. But if running for state assembly ruffled feathers, can you imagine what running for Congress did to the men? I've always said being female always put many more obstacles in my path than being black.
If we couldn't control it in Albany, how are we going to in Washington?
The county organization had a candidate in mind, William C. Thompson, who at first said he wasn't going to run and would back me. But I don't know who or what changed his mind. All I know is I had my work cut out for me. I was going to prove to that machine that this black woman was going to beat it. So I spent 10 months walking up and down the streets of Williamsburg. Nice to meet you, have a button. Nice to meet you, have a button. Nice to meet you, have a button. Crown Heights. Nice to meet you, dear, have a button. Nice to meet you, have a button. Nice to meet you, have a button. Nice to meet you, have a button. Bedford Stuyvesant, telling people my story. We reached out to women organizations asking for assistance. So during the week, I
I went to parties and teas given by women. Now, in the black neighborhood, I ate chitlins. And in the Jewish neighborhood, bagels and lots. And in the Puerto Rican neighborhood, arroz con pollo. Hola! ¿Cómo estás? I heard their desires, and I won that primary by 1,000 votes. Carrying 4 white districts. Now it was time to prepare for the election against my Republican opponent, James Farmer. Now he sold the big blackmail image, and the television cameramen would run to him and ignore me. And when I complained to one station,
Who are you? A little school teacher trying to go to the assembly?
oh, so I wrote a slogan, fighting Shirley Chisholm, unboxed and unbossed. That's who I am. I was not to be deterred. The stress was getting to me, but I pushed on. Ladies and gentlemen, this is fighting Shirley Chisholm, and I am up and around in spite of what people are saying. I beat that man in the November election 2.5 to 1. Men always underestimate women. And they underestimated me and women like me, which was a big mistake because I'm on my way to Congress. Oh! Look at me! Oh, I invited him. Oh Lord, how do I look?
You look fine. You know he lied.
You know, I wanted to join the choir, but they told me I didn't have any rhythm. But that's not true. I have Caribbean rhythm.
We know. I wanted to join the choir too, but then Mahalia came and Michael.
And Prince and Whitney, Aretha. You can't compete with that. There's some singing folks. They really are. Sing it, Ray. Isn't he handsome? Yes, he is. All right. When you see him smiling at me.
But there wasn't no brotherhood for us slave women. Sims kept making new tools and finding new ways to operate on us. And the doctors stopped coming. This cure that he thought was going to take days, it's taking years, and it's costing him. So he decides to stop operating until he can find a way to permanently close the gaps.
Precious Lord, take my hand, lead me on, help me stand. Lord, we're tired, we're weak, we're worn through the storm.
walking, he get an idea. He go to the jeweler, ask the jeweler to make him a silver wire that he gonna use to sew up the gaps. Almost 4 years to the day from its very beginnings, Sims decides to use this silver wire on me. This is my 30th operation. By this time, Sims is quicker. Seems like he know more what he's doing. The operation don't take as long. Week later, it's time to check. I get carried to the table. Get on my hands and knees. And a little later, I hear,
It's fixed! It's fixed! Ha! I did it! Ha ha! I did it! Glory, glory! Hallelujah! Since I laid my burdens down. Ha ha! Glory, glory! Hallelujah! Since I laid my burdens down. Ha! I will be forever immortalized in history! We started preparing for the escape by listening to how white people talked, and we practiced. Good day, sir.
White.
Good morning, sir.
Oh, baby, that's really white.
It was finally 2 days before the escape, and I was serving at the cottage. And one of the guests, Mr. Craig, he stayed till the very end. After he left, Eliza, she gave me my pass. And she wished me a Merry Christmas. I ran home with that pass in my hand. I was free for the time being. When I got home, William had closed all the shades and locked the door. He showed me the suit that he bought, some other things. It was a perfect fit.
We have a problem. When you go to a hotel, you have to sign in.
But a sickly young gentleman with his hand in a wrap can't sign for himself.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to need his slave to assist him on his travels. All I needed was a pair of tinted glasses to hide my eyes. Yeah. The next day, William came home with his pass and a pair of tinted glasses. Last thing that we had to do was cut my hair, and we were ready. It's December 21st, 1848, early morning, the day of our escape. I took a deep breath, but I was full of fear. We was about to go on a trip that could get us killed. But it could also give us what we've been praying for. Our freedom.
Dear Lord, please, please be with us on this journey to freedom and give us strength. Amen.
Amen. I was set as a sickly young gentleman and William as my slave. We left the cottage and we went to the train station. I take a seat near the window so I could pretend to be asleep in case anyone tries to talk to me. People are getting on. I smile and nod, but I say nothing. I take a deep breath and stare outside as if I'm lost in thought. I turn around and I see a last-minute passenger getting on. And I saw him before he saw me. It was Mr. Craig from the Christmas party. And the only empty seat was the seat next to mine.
Oh, happy holidays. I say happy holidays.
But as my grandmother used to say, the devil was busy.
I say happy holidays, sir.
It is quite a deprivation to be deaf.
Oh, my apologies.
He never bothered me again. I took another deep breath, woo, and we were on our way. And people really thought I was a white man. Oh, Lord. We arrived in Savannah, Georgia. I let the hotel clerk sign me in before I go to my room. The next morning, I go to the dining hall. William butters my toast, cuts my sausage, and makes my coffee before he leaves. The other passengers are starting to notice how good he is with me.
Now, how wise is it to take a nigger to the north? And if you want, I can take him off your hands.
I have no desire to sell him, as I need him because I'm ailing.
You have no idea how sneaky these niggers can be.
My heart is pounding, and I quickly finish my meal and excuse myself, but as I'm about to leave, a young officer stops me.
I heard you say thank you to your nigger. Well, if I do say, that's a sure way to spoil your nigger. The only way to get your nigger to toe the line and to keep him in his place is to storm at him like thunder.
Just then, the officer's slave, Ned, enters.
Hurry with the bags! Like that.
William, get the bags and let's go. I nod to the officer, and we quickly leave. Ooh. All kinds of stuff happened on this trip. Would you believe that 2 young white ladies found me attractive? Shush. After that, oh Lord, I had to hold on to my composure. We finally arrive in Baltimore. We head to the station to take the next train to Philadelphia. I get on, but William is stopped on his way to the colored section and told to get his master.
It is against my rules to have any man take a slave out of here without showing that he has exactly the right to have him along.
Now, I bought these tickets in Charleston, and I should have been told that then, not when I'm halfway to my destination. Now, I have an appointment in Philadelphia, and I know of no one in Baltimore to sign for me. Not a custom officer, not one to look uncaring or overstepping his bounds, as I am a wealthy, white, southern gentleman, quickly led us board.
All right.
Apparently, in the colored section, William met a black man who told him about the boarding house and how it was owned by an abolitionist. They said it would be best if we went to Boston, and they would contact people to help us. We were driven to the countryside along the Delaware River. We were taken in by the Ivans, a white family. They taught us how to read and write. We finally arrived in Boston, and we made ourselves a home. We made friends, and we were living the life for 2 glorious years, free.
Oh, freedom! Oh, freedom! Oh, freedom over me! And before still pinching myself when the 91st Congress was convened. And I was sworn in. I did it. I made it. And I only wish Dad could have been here to see it. I didn't recognize too many people, but they all knew who I was. And when they would introduce themselves to me,
So, what does your husband think about all this?
they acted as if they were joking. And you know they weren't. Nothing had changed, just geography. I had to deal with the same ignorance, even in Congress. Well, I did it once, so I could certainly do it again. I was looking forward to the committee that I would be assigned to. Now, I had hoped it would be in education, since that was my field. Now, I received my assignment, agriculture, and the subcommittee, forestry.
Told you.
I know nothing about forestry and wanted to get my assignment changed, but was told.
You're stuck.
I asked the speaker, is there any way that I could get this assignment changed?
Oh, Mrs. Chisholm, this is just the way it is. You gotta be a good soldier.
All my 43 years, I have been a good soldier. Time is getting late and I can't be a good soldier any longer. If you will not help me, then I will have to find another way. Because it makes no sense to have a black woman representative on a committee of forestry. So if you're not going to help me, then I will have to do my own thing.
Your what?
It means I will do what I have to do, regardless of the consequences. You see, as a freshman, I wasn't supposed to be complaining about my assignment. And when I wanted to be released, it caused a stir. It made the news. I appealed to the Democratic caucus, and some people said that I committed political suicide. But they released me from agriculture and forestry. And assigned me to Veterans Affairs Committee. No, it's time to get to work. Now, when I came into Congress, it was January of 1968, just as the Nixon administration was coming in. Now, we, who didn't vote for Nixon, were watching his every move. And we watched as he went against all of his promises. He stopped all monies going to education. He issued a policy on desegregation, but it was in favor of white people. He vetoed a bill that was passed by the House and Senate for child care services. Now, I knew we couldn't trust him. And I knew I had to challenge him. So in 1972, I decided I was going to run for president.
A black man should be the first to run for president, not a black woman.
I agree that a black man must step forward, but that doesn't mean a black woman must step back.
You gotta be kidding me. There's no way you're ever gonna win. You can't be serious.
I didn't care about people's reactions. I knew I had a message, I had experience, and I cared a lot about this country. Now, I had a lot of things going for me, but I also had a lot of things going against me. I needed a lot more money to run an effective campaign. Women of all races trusted me, but not each other. And refused to see that our strength was when we worked together. Now, I didn't get the Democratic nomination, but I did better than anyone thought I would. Nixon was re-elected with a landslide win, but the truth of his involvement with the DNC break-in started to emerge. And on August 8th, Nixon resigned before he was impeached.
Yes.
My eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. He is trampling out the vintage where the grapes of wrath are stored. He has loosed the faithful lightning of his terrible swift sword. His truth is marching on.
Well, they took me back to my bed, and everybody was happy. I was fixed. Over the next couple days, Sims did the operation on all the other girls, and we was all sent home fixed. I was so happy that I was better. I was happy to see my baby girl again. And yeah, I was happy to get back to them fields. I'm lucky and thankful to God, because a woman in my way had no way. And I don't know what would have happened to me if I would have stayed useless. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Like a motherless child. A long way from home.
On November 6, 1850, Congress passed the Fugitive Slave Bill to ensure that all slaves hiding in the North would be returned to the South. We found out that Eliza hired a lawyer and 2 slave hunters to find us. They knew we were in Boston, and they was coming to get us. When the slave hunters arrived, our new friends lied and said they never saw us. Abolitionist Reverend May hid us in his car and drove us to the port to take a boat to Canada. Unbeknownst to us, those slave hunters, they were on our tail. But a train cross prevented them from moving forward. Our boat had already departed, and we were well on our way. We finally arrived in Canada. We took our last boat to Liverpool, England. We had come so far. We'd gone through so much, and we were almost free. We landed in Liverpool, England, where we lived as free people. Can you imagine the lengths that one would go for freedom? We can. Because we literally went 10,000 miles. Oh, freedom! Oh, freedom! Oh, freedom over me! And before I'll be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free.
I stayed in Congress for another 10 years and retired from politics in 1982. Now, one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you today is to remind you that we worked long and hard for abortion rights, equal rights, and equal pay for women. Now, back in my day, on an average year, a white man would earn $7,197 per year. A black man, $4,508 per year. A white woman, $4,142 per year. And a black woman, $2,934 per year. Nothing has changed. We must continue to rebel and we must be involved in politics if we want to see change. I became a politician because I wanted to make a difference.
I heard Sims tried to perform our operation on white women. They say no. They couldn't and wouldn't take the pain. It sure would have been nice if we had the right to say no. My name is Anarcha Westcott. And if Dr. J. Marion Sims is the father of gynecology, then I am the mother.
I wasn't the first black woman to dress like a man, but I'm pretty sure I was the first black woman to pass as a white man. My name is Ellen Craft, and I am proud to be part of this great history.
Me too, hashtag.
No, isn't it hashtag me too?
It doesn't matter. And don't even bother trying to explain. I just love it.
Me too.
Finally, women coming together and sharing our stories.
Discovering our similarities.
And embracing our differences.
And it only took 30 more years to happen. But at least, you know what they say. Better late than never. That was my dream. That we as women achieve equality in every avenue. And we rise and speak up together. Because together, we can't fail. I still believe that. Especially now. And we must stand up against this war against women. For those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Shirley Chisholm. And I made a bid for the presidency in 1972. It's almost 2020, people. And all I want to know is, who's next?
singing voice.
Oh,